In this video, I'm going to cover some of the basics of EQ, or equalization. The main point of it is to adjust the tonality of the signal coming in so that we're getting the sound that we're looking for. One of the main points of this would be when we're miking something, the microphone, the speaker system, our sound system is going to impart some sound qualities to the original signal, and we need to cut those out or emphasize some of them. But I'd say the major goal is to end up with a signal that sounds most like what the actual source is, with some embellishment depending on the type of thing you're doing. I've got some tracks here that I'm going to play, and I'll go through some of the EQ steps I do there. I'll just be going through on a vocal right now. In a later video, I'll cover some of the other inputs that you'll deal with. So I'm going to just start the tracks, and then we'll get into that. Okay, so I've got our one vocal mic up right now, and I'm just listening to what I can hear in the signal and what I like about it and what I don't like about it.
What a treasure to behold you, simply to believe. I'm so glad I met Jesus.
So
Didn't know it.
one of the things I noticed right away is that her microphone is picking up a lot of the bass that's on stage. It's coming from the subwoofers. Microphones pick up everything that's on stage. The amount of gain required for the signal will depend on how much it's picking up around it. But if we bring that back up, there's definitely a lot of low end. So my first step is going to be to add a high pass filter. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to roll it up well beyond where I need it, and then I like to roll it back, and that just helps me get it as high as I can get it without it affecting the sound of her voice. So we'll bring that in now.
What a friend I found in Jesus. What a life he's given me.
You can hear how this is really thin now and lacking body. So roll back.
Everything. I'm alive with eyes wide open. I've tasted and I've seen.
Okay, so that's removed most of the low end bass stuff, all the extra noise that the mic is picking up, and leaving her voice intact. So the next step is we'll get into the actual EQ, and what I like to do first is listen to it, find the things that I don't like, and then I'll use search and destroy, where we boost it up, listen for that thing, and then cut it out. If you boost and just cut anything that sounds really bad, you're going to find something that sounds really bad, because you're boosting, in this case, up to 12 or 15 dB, and it's just going to sound weird. So I find it's better. It's a really good way to get used to hearing the problems, but it's a better or a good way to use it is to think about what you don't like about the voice and then find that thing, as opposed to just boosting and finding bad things.
He's been so good. He's been so kind to me.
So I'll boost it up. Generally you want to cut narrow.
Remember the moment he told me I'm free
So
from my past.
the thing I'm hearing that I don't really care for is some boxiness. It's going to be in the low mids.
Come on, we sing that again. I remember the moment he told me I'm free from my past.
So that's what I'm finding I'm hearing.
I'm never turning back. No, I'm never turning back.
And there's a few things around it, so I'm just going to widen this one out a bit.
Know that he loves you. He wants you. He's knocking at your door. He's
And we can grab the next frequency
What are you waiting for?
and check around it as well and see if there's another place that has a problem. So there's a bit there.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Now, generally, I find that two bands of cut like this is generally going to be enough. If you need more, there's probably some other problems or different ways to fix that problem. But yeah, if I just keep going up, I'm going to find other frequencies that sound weird when you boost them a lot. But I find with that, that's a good start. And then you could also get into a little bit of additive to sort of shape the sound. So let's check there.
Goodness, bringing everything.
So if I boost this up,
I'm so glad
it's adding clarity,
I met
but it's a bit
Jesus.
sharp, so we'll just
I'm
use
so
less.
glad, I'm so glad.
But now if I turn off the
Yes,
EQ
I
and the high pass,
I'm so glad I met Jesus. Didn't know
so this is high
what I
pass off and EQ
needed.
off. And then if I turn these back
But
on,
now that I've seen him, I
you can tell her voice is a bit
nothing
clearer,
left to
easier to understand. It
hide.
sounds more like a voice and less muddy. So that's my basic way of dealing with EQ. I'll start with a high pass filter. I generally like to roll it up really high and then pull that back so that I'm getting it as high as it can be without affecting the sound. And as you do that over multiple channels, the difference is sort of additive. If you don't high pass all your channels, when you add them all together, all that low end information that's unnecessary is just going to create sort of more noise down in that low end. Then it's going to be harder for your kick and your bass and your keyboards to sort of come through in that. Then after that, I'll go into the EQ and I'll do sort of a search and destroy, but I like to do somewhat targeted. I'm listening to it without any EQ and trying to find what about that sound I don't like, and then I'm using search and destroy where I boost it up, and then I'm using that to find that specific sound and cut that out. And then, like I said, probably do 2 at the most with that, and then you can get into a little bit of additive EQ as well. It's more for tone shaping. Generally, you want wider Q values for that. And for vocals, I like to find the thing that makes it the clearest sounding, and that's usually in that 1 to 3, 4K range. And it might be really bright if you have it boosted, but just adding a little bit of that helps it sort of cut out in front of everything else. So thanks for watching the video. Check out my channel for some other videos on related things. Have a good day.